Well, no, they definitely haven't understood anything at all. Now, there's two levels of language that we're talking about that might be used in a language. Now, when we're dealing in a cross-cultural communication situation, we need to see that language fits into two categories. One is the tangible language, the tree, cup, running, sitting, standing, those tangible words that explain tangible things. That's easy for people to understand and easy for people to put it across into their own language, because when Yolngu are sitting, say, in a meeting, they're listening to English, they're not thinking English. They're thinking in Yolngu. And so they have to translate that back into their own language and work it through in their own mind. Now, people who are not trained in cross-cultural communication will usually give too much information far too fast and not give people a chance to actually appropriate that information and work it through in their own mind. And if the process is slowed down quite a bit, there's always opportunities for then people to ask questions as they're going through clarification questions. One of the most crazy meeting procedures that I see used even in the mainstream is people say, "We'll hold all questions till the end." Absolutely ridiculous. Whoever taught those people to communicate taught them how to fail in communication. Because dialogue should be, and appropriating information, whether it be in your first language or second or fifth language, should be where you could actually check what you're hearing. So you're saying da-da-da-da, or no, I'm not saying that, I'm saying this. Okay, we're able to check that out. Now for Yolngu, you'll find that they run into information overload very quickly, because the people who are communicating are not seeing that there's tangible language, and there's intangible language. The language that can only be heard through the words that are used in the ear, the academic language, the concept language. Now, if you are using concept language in a meeting, you need to be checking whether the people actually understand that concept or not. Any concept language. Most of the concept terms for Yolngu speaking people is still gobbledygook. Absolute gobbledygook. There's no linguist centre for Yolngu people, even still today. And so nobody's working on it. Nobody's working on how to explain this word, which is like the English word serious. And many Yolngu people think, well, that's serious is terminal. It means you're going to die in a few days. And a stack of other words, like we're running into them every day. Every day I'm writing down words with the Yolngu colleagues I work with on podcasts, and they're coming up, and before they even ask these days, I know they're going to say, what does that English word mean? What does that English word mean? And some of them are very common English words, but they're concept words. And because of the short history between Yolngu and English, every time you use a concept word in a meeting or whatever, you need to be checking whether people are understanding that word. And don't just get a yes and no. Get them to repeat back what that word is meaning to you. So in most cases, people will just sit there, ask no questions, and be looking at their watch all the time to wonder when the torture is over. If you don't get questions in a meeting, you have not communicated. Doesn't matter how many yeses you get, how many yo-yos, yeah, that's great, that's good, because people don't know it's not great or it's not good. Let me just give you a quick example. I was working with a Yolngu interpreter one day, and she came to work with me as I was educating some registered nurses around how to do health education in Royal Darwin Hospital in a program that used to work very well, patient education program, that in the end the funding was stopped on, even though it worked very well. And this Yolngu interpreter said to me, "Can I ask one question?" And I said, yeah, what's your question? She said, "What does percentage mean?" And I said, "Have you got any picture when you hear that word, when you hear that particular word?" And she said, "None at all. I don't get any picture at all." So you don't see that it's a quantity or a measurement, or no, I don't get any picture at all. So 2 gobbledygooks. So I explained what percentage was, I drew it out, and I said, where was this used in what conversation you were having with a doctor or whatever? And she said, I was talking about 2% something to do with kidneys. And I said, it would have been 2% kidney function. She said, that's it. So I drew a kidney on a piece of paper, just drew a kidney on a piece of paper, put 10 lines down and 10 lines across, and I said, so you have 100 boxes over that kidney. Yeah. Well, 100% percentage, and we drew then the symbol of percentage. I can't do that back to the front, sorry to the camera. I drew the symbol for percentage, and I said there's a stroke in there and there's 2 zeros. So it's talking about 100 of something. 100 of something. Here we have a picture of a kidney with 10 lines down, 10 lines across, 100 boxes over that kidney. So what the doctor was talking about was just 2 of those boxes within that kidney. And she said, what did that mean? And I said, those 2 boxes in that kidney are still good functioning kidney, and the rest is like not functioning or dead, like similar to being no good, non-functional. To which she broke down and started to cry. And I said, this was one of your relatives. She said, yeah, my sister. And I said, is she gone already? Yeah, she's gone. She didn't last long after that. That lady stopped being an interpreter and went home, will not do interpreting again, because she'd been set up to fail drastically by the system again, and the people who run services that don't even understand linguistics and don't understand the difficulty that you're having with these academic terms. Not hundreds of them, thousands of academic terms they're having trouble with. So if you're in a situation where you've been sent out from Darwin to an Aboriginal community, and there's lots of people now who are in that sort of employment, the employment ranks are being filled there, to go out and talk to Aboriginal communities, and you get to a meeting and you find that people become despondent and they just say yes, or they sit there and listen right through and they just say yes and they don't ask any question. And if you've thrown out a number of academic concept terms, the chances are you have just tormented the people. Some of the Yolngu who are very used to going to meetings now, they just know how to switch off. They don't even listen to it. They just go into the yes missionary mode. Yeah. Learning how to say yes to white people will keep you in their good books and on their side. You don't ever want to say no, because if you say no, you'll just get more of that fast speed English coming at you and more confusion, another bigger headache. Let me just give you another quick example there. Some people say Yolngu should just go in and look up the dictionary meaning of a word, an academic English word. They should be able to do that like everybody else did. Well, no, that's okay for English first language people. But if you will go into a dictionary and look up a meaning of an academic word, they'll usually find 3 or 4 words in there that they don't understand. So they've got to go and look up those 3 or 4 words, which means they go to other places in the dictionary and they find other English words they don't understand. So in the end, it becomes like trying to find the rabbit down a rabbit warren where there's many burrows all over the place, and somewhere in there is some meaning. And you just give up on it. It's just a hopeless task. Whereas if there was an English to Yolngu dictionary existing, which at the moment we're trying to produce an audio Yolngu to English to Yolngu dictionary, and they could click on that and hear quickly what that academic English term meant, then real learning would occur. And people will then be much more prepared and skilled to sit in a meeting with government officials. Until that happens, no government official, including the Northern Lands Council, should come to Yolngu communities without at least one good qualified interpreter, and not too much attention on a qualified, but a good interpreter. But first sit with that interpreter and see if they fully understand what you're going to talk about. Don't just go out and load them up with the same English terms, because they might be like that poor lady who she now knows she played a part in the early death of her sister. Let's get this stuff right. Australia and the Northern Territory could be learning this stuff. We're right next to Asia. We should be the gateway to Asia. We could be the most culturally competent group of people in Australia. Unfortunately, nobody's doing anything about how to understand cross-cultural communication or other levels of cross-cultural competency to skill people in the Northern Territory up to that level. Because everybody's still in almost a colonial mindset. It's the Aboriginal people that have to change. It's the Aboriginal people that have to do all the learning, rather than the so-called professional who's coming well paid to supposedly help people in these communities. We need to get this stuff right.